Hi, today I'd like to talk to you about the National Anthem Protests. Obviously, this is a very divisive issue and people tend to demonize each other, as either not caring about police brutality if they disagree with the kneeling, or suggesting that those who kneel hate the country and our police. The issue is a lot more nuanced. Like any country, we have problems, and I'd like to talk to you about how we approach and resolve those problems. I believe that kneeling for the flag and anthem is detrimental to the cause of those who do so, and I think it overall has a harmful effect on our country. I'm not going to discuss police brutality, or whether people have a right to kneel, they of course do. I'm going to talk about where kneeling gets us and what it conveys about our country. When someone kneels for our anthem and flag, they're not protesting the actual anthem or flag. The anthem doesn't cause police brutality, and the flag isn't racist. They're protesting what they represent. They're symbolic of our country. While they represent the country in its current state, they're more symbolic of the ideas on which this country was founded, embedded in our Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The flag and our anthem act as standards for the promise of America. In ancient battles, seeing your standard would give you the courage to persevere and remind you of what you were fighting for. Today our standards have a similar purpose. They swell in us, the chorus of the Union. They remind us of the American experiment in liberty and challenge us to hold true to it. At the Constitutional Convention, George Washington said, "Let us raise a standard to which the wise and honest can repair." Our Declaration, our Constitution, are the standards that were intended to guide America, so that we could always look up to them and recalibrate and reorient ourselves towards them when led astray, as we would inevitably be. Lincoln gave a speech that illustrates what the Declaration was meant to be and how we ought to redirect our attention to it, even today. He gave this speech in Lewistown, Illinois, during the Lincoln-Douglas debates of the famed 1858 Senate race. Quote, "These communities, by their representatives in old independent soil, said to the whole world of men, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. In their enlightened belief, nothing stamped with the divine image and likeness was sent into the world to be trodden on, and degraded, and imbruted by its fellows. They grasped not only the whole race of men living, but they reached forward and seized upon the farthest posterity. They erected a beacon to guide their children and their children's children, and the countless myriads who should inhabit the earth in other ages. Now, my countrymen, if you have been taught doctrines conflicting with the great landmarks of the Declaration of Independence, let me entreat you to come back. Return to the fountain whose waters spring close by the blood of the Revolution. I charge you to drop every paltry and insignificant thought for any man's success. It is nothing. I am nothing. Judge Douglas is nothing. But do not destroy that immortal emblem of humanity, the Declaration of American Independence." Abraham Lincoln recognized that the Declaration was always meant to be our guide in every generation. If we want to build a more perfect union, we must strive to live up to the eternal truths in our founding documents. Martin Luther King took a similar view. In his famous speech, "I Have a Dream," he said, quote, "In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note, to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. Martin Luther King not only refused to give up on America's promise, he dreamed that it would be realized. Quote, "I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal." In his final speech the day before his assassination, he challenged America to, quote, "Be true to what you said on paper." He didn't challenge America to rewrite the paper. All we have to do is be true to our promise. He challenged every American to examine whether they were living up to their creed. So it seems our nation is faced with a choice. We can abandon the founding and our creed. Perhaps our nation is too entrenched in racism and too marred by its history to solve the problems we face. Perhaps we must bring forth a new nation, conceived in something else and dedicated to a different proposition. But in what shall we be conceived if not liberty? What shall we dedicate ourselves to if not the belief that all men are created equal? What do we follow if we discard our founding? One of our nation's mottos is E pluribus unum, from many one. Despite our differences, we are all linked by something, an idea, that all men are created equal, that we have rights, that we weren't sent into the world to be trodden on, and degraded, and imbruted, but to be free. So in closing, I have nothing against anyone who chooses to protest when they see problems in our country. It is their right and even their duty to call the attention of their fellow citizens. However, if they wish to push their message in a palatable way, convince people instead of alienate them, heal our divide instead of deepen it, and guide our nation in the right direction, they shouldn't kneel for our national standards, but point to them. Point to the beacon, to the immortal emblem of humanity. Point to the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Entreat your fellow citizens to come back, to return to the fountain, to repair and honor their sacred obligation, and live out the true meaning of their creed. And together, we can build a more perfect union. Thank you.